Okay, back now with
2K Australia and James from Gearbox. We're going to talk about Borderlands, the pre-sequel.
Woo!
Finally, guns and skags on the moon.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So this is
great. We've already seen
some low-gravity gameplay. We've seen some different skills that we're going to get here on the moon. We've seen some stuff with the new characters. But you guys are going to take us on a walkthrough of some very different stuff today. What are we going to see?
Oh. Yeah, so we're going to be showing the Outland Spur map, and I think the video we're showing, we're playing as Wilhelm. Now, Wilhelm was in Borderlands 2. He was the first big boss. He fought this giant loader with a human head. But in this game, you start out with him mainly as a man, and you have the opportunity to, through his skills, build him up to be that crazy robot that he was in Borderlands 2. And we're going to see his action skill. He has the ability to spawn these two drones, Wolf and Saint. Wolf is an attack drone, and Saint is kind of a buffing health and shield regen drone. We're going to see the low gravity jumping and the butt stomping, which I love, freezing some enemies, shattering them. We're going to see lasers, everything you expect from going to the moon.
Beautiful. So let's bring up the walkthrough here, and you can start leading us through it. Now, last footage that you guys showed off was very much the moon.
Yes.
It was very much like what we would expect from the moon. It was very barren, very gray. But now you're showing off a little bit more diversity here. Because I think some people were like, oh, okay, is it just like this? Is it just the moon?
Yeah, I mean, that would be really underwhelming if the entire moon looked the same, right? So in the Outland Spur, we're going to show a little more character. You're going to be going through this liquid methane processing facility that was created by Dahl.
Okay.
And so you'll see a little more of the visual history of what's been here before. You'll see a little bit of decay also. And you'll also kind of see some sort of like pollution that's a byproduct of what they're doing there. And so incidentally, it adds some more color to the palette. It'll be a little more distinct from what we saw at PAX.
Great. So we've actually got it going back here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah, so already in the back you can see, like, there's sort of this Aurora Borealis, there's a sort of green tinge in the skybox, and, you know, we're doing that to make people feel like every map that they go to is distinctly different.
Here we go.
Oh, great.
Great. And we're seeing some of the new freeze weapons here, too.
Yeah, these are some new enemies. The Kragans, they're kind of these moon rock creatures, but they've also absorbed elemental attributes. And because in this map we're showing this liquid methane, which does cryo damage, they can kind of freeze you, but you can also freeze them and shatter them. And the cool things about these guys is if you shatter them, they actually burst out little mini versions of themselves to come and attack you as well.
Yeah, so they're kind of like nesting dolls. When you kill one big one, two smaller ones, and then as you break those, it multiplies.
Oh my
You'll
gosh.
see something cool here as well. We have these air vents which shoot you up into the sky. So if you manage to burst one, you get shot really high, and then if you hold the crouch button, you're actually going to slam down to the ground and do this area of effect attack. And if you manage to do this landing on top of an enemy, you can just shatter them and see their ice particles drift off in low gravity.
That's awesome.
Something
And you were
really
telling
cool.
me that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You were telling me that Wilhelm himself actually has like his own special butt stomping that you can upgrade.
All of the player characters in Borderlands Pre-Sequel have certain skills which enhance their abilities in low gravity. So you can make the butt stomp more powerful, you can have elemental attributes applied to it. Wilhelm, actually, as he upgrades himself to become the robot, he gets robot legs, pneumatic arms, so he can do more damage when he slams down as well.
Very cool.
What's really cool about the way that the enemies shatter in the pre-sequel is that they shatter along the trajectory that you hit them. So if you come down on top of them, they will shatter down the middle and off to the side. If you're shooting them straight ahead, the particles will go that way. So it's just really awesome that every time you kill them, it's going to be different.
Yeah,
Now, is that something where if I come down and shrapnel goes out, you know, from somebody, that's going to cause damage in the direction that it goes in?
Not necessarily the shrapnel itself,
Okay.
but you know, you can freeze an enemy and use like them breaking to hurt someone else. Like we have some jetpack enemies that if you freeze them in the air, when they land, they'll do slam damage also. So if you drop them on top of another enemy, they could kill them. And if they're frozen, you just get shattering all over the place.
That's awesome. Yeah. I'm just imagining it accidentally using a dude to shatter another dude who accidentally splits into 8 guys. and then I've just caused more problems for myself.
Yeah, see, we have those natural air vents which shoot you up into the air as well, but we also have these dial-placed jump pads which you see here. So they can shoot you up vertically, or we have ones which shoot you along these really big trajectories. So with the low gravity, kind of the scope of the travel has increased a huge amount in Borderlands pre-sequel. You can cross a map so much quicker, but we've actually been able to make the maps bigger, not by making them wider, but actually going vertical. Yeah. So it was a really big focus for our level designers to add verticality to these maps, because the enemies can use the low gravity just as much as you jumping, invalidating your cover, stomping on you. So we have the main pass, which can go really high up, but we also have like really awesome loot, which you have to use jump pads and really cool ways to get to.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, there was always something really powerful about like reaching an incredibly high cliff or mountain in Borderlands and then just jumping off. And now it's great to be able to do that in the other direction as well, and just kind of just free flow around the level.
If you manage to get really, really high, I mean, you can get hundreds of feet high in this game and do the butt stomp from that high, you're going to do this massive amount of damage, because the higher you do your butt stomp from, the more damage it's going to inflict.
Yeah, verticality is a really big thing that we're trying to emphasize in the pre-sequel. Your play spaces are much more three-dimensional now than they have been before, and you know, the gravity system isn't just about platforming, it's about being a major way to clear out an area of enemies.
It's awesome. I feel like that has to kind of change the way you guys think about level design a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really fun, I think, for our level designers to make levels that force the players to look up instead of just straight ahead. This being a completely new Borderlands game, we wanted to change it up. You know, we've got 4 new playable characters, new weapons, all that stuff you'd expect from a brand new game, but bringing the low gravity and the oxygen system in makes it feel completely new and fresh as well.
What's going on here?
All right, so right now we are lining up some pumps so you can move this liquid methane, which in the pre-sequel is very, very cold. And you're using it to freeze this river of lava that you have to get across to get to the Drakensberg, which is this derelict ship that you need to get an AI from, because the whole point of this is that Jack needs to weaponize his loaders so he can use them to reclaim Helios, which is the moonshot facility.
Gotcha. That was beautiful right there, that vista.
The really cool thing you'll see here, players can go along that pipe, taking the long path by using low gravity to traverse it, or you can do these massive jumps and go down to the ground. You'll see here this oxygen generator was activated by, I think it must have been Athena shooting a shock weapon, so you can actually activate those from afar. And if you notice there are some scavs, some enemies around there, and you have a really good incendiary weapon or a laser, you can activate that oxygen dome and set them on fire. If they're in the vacuum, they're not going to burn, and that goes for you as well. It's kind of a tactic you have coming into any kind of space.
That's really awesome. So you can create these giant bubble fire bombs.
Yeah, exactly. We want the atmosphere on the moon to feel organic. You know, we want it to make sense. And what's really cool about that is, in the process, we create these new strategic ways to go into your combat. You know, if you're on fire, you can also turn off the bubble to put yourself out, which is something else that's really gratifying for us to do.
Well, what I love is, you know, just running around and shooting and causing havoc has always felt so good. But I love that you guys are kind of taking the moon as license to just be like, well, how do we make it even just dumber on a huge scale? Like, how do we just create a giant fire bubble? Like, how do we create this idea where we just turn one enemy into 97 all of a sudden?
Well, you know, it's really important for us, for our fans to feel like we're always adding something on. We don't want the combat to ever just feel recycled. You know, we want to feel like we're making it better every time.
Gosh, that looks great.
Now, you notice around this environment, we saw the oxygen domes, which you can activate. You also have the oxygen vents, which we've gone over a few times. Enemies also drop oxygen, so the player finds oxygen all over the place. It is a new resource. We don't have the UI in this video, but the players do need to track it, but it's so common you don't really need to worry about it. The oxygen system allows you to do these really cool abilities, though. So if you jump and then press the jump button, you can actually vent oxygen out and then do a boost, so you can kind of drift through the air. It's like a double jump, and that can allow you to get even higher to slam down on them.
That's so nuts. So you can really use just a lot of different things to chain together and create a lot of momentum.
Yeah, there are a lot of really cool combos you can do with all these new features. For example, if you manage to do a jump and then drift along, you can shoot down with an ice laser or any kind of cryo weapon, freeze a guy and then butt stomp down and shatter him right down the middle.
Yeah, one of the really cool things is like Athena has this energy shield that when it's charged up, she can throw it at enemies to do a massive amount of explosive damage. Well, if you're in co-op, your friends could be freezing them so that you can do a high jump above them and just drop it and shatter them all at once.
It's amazing.
And you'll see these guys, they have these oxygen bubbles over their heads because they're in the vacuum. And if you manage to pop those, they're going to start suffocating and doing damage over time. So it's another reason why you may not want to bring oxygen into an environment, because you can try and get those headshots and become even more powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we are very close now to our final objective, which is where you're going to see us freezing the lava so we can cross it. But first, got to grab loot, because that's one of the core principles of Borderlands.
Absolutely.
That is the 10-year-old boy we hired to help us. You're fired, John.
There's a little view in the background. You might see the Drakensberg. It's this sort of ship that's been broken in half when it crashed. And that's where you will ultimately go in order to get the AI for Jack's loader army.
Okay.
And up in the skybox, you can actually see Helios, the moonshot facility, while it's under construction. So it's not completely formed. And some of our more observant users might also see that Pandora is in the background. For the first time, you can actually see what it looks like from space, which is this cool little bit of lore that we get to add.
It's awesome. I love just the, even the new low-gravity running animations just look fun.
You know, that was actually kind of hard for us to capture because we want to make sure that it made sense instead of just being your normal sprint or being too slow.
That guy's problems.
Yes.
Well, that looks great, guys. When are we going to be able to get our hands on Borderlands, the pre-sequel?
Yeah, Borderlands the pre-sequel is coming out in the United States on October 14 and internationally on October 17.
So you actually have to wait longer to get your own game.
It's not that much longer.
That's messed up, man. How do you deal with it?
I get by.
Thanks.
PlayStation